Today our topic is solutions to a linear system. So our learning target, how can I determine the number of solutions to a system of linear equations? Vocabulary. One solution is two lines that cross. The solution is a coordinate point, so x, y. If we have no solution, so none, then it is parallel lines and they have no solution. Parallel lines, as we know, have the same slope. So if we're looking at equations, they're going to have the same slope. Infinite solutions is when we have the exact same line. So for the same line, they're going to have the same slope and the same y-intercept. And we say they have infinitely many solutions. Some examples for us. 3x plus 2y equals 10 and 3x plus 2y equals 2. Well, if we're going to solve this, we want to use elimination. So if we do elimination, we could multiply this bottom equation by -1. Negative 3x, then we get minus 2y and equals -2. Copy down the top equation, 3x plus 2y equals 10. And we get negative 3x plus 3x. Well, that cancels out. Negative 2y plus 2y, that cancels out. So we have 0 equals negative 2 plus 10 is 8. Now, is 0 equal to 8? No, it is not. So we call this a false solution, which means that these two lines are parallel and there is going to be no solution to the system. So if we get a false answer like that, then our answer is no solution. For our second one, we have x minus 2y equals -4 and y equals 1/2 x plus 2. We can do this one of two ways. We could substitute 1/2 x plus 2 in for y, or we could solve our first equation for y and compare the two equations. Let's just try the substitution way. In our first equation, we have x minus 2y. Well, when we see y, that means we can substitute in 1/2 x plus 2, and that equals -4. Distribute the -2 to the 1/2 and the +2. We get x. -2 times 1/2 x is -x. -2 times 2 is -4 equals -4. Simplify. X minus x is 0. Minus 4 equals -4. 0 minus 4 is -4 equals -4. Now, if we ask ourselves, does -4 equal -4, we can say yes, that is a true solution. So when it is a true solution, that is the opposite of a false solution, which means we have infinite solutions. All right, number of solutions to a linear system. This is a really nice graphic organizer, a way to keep things straight. So if we have one solution, they intersect and they have different slopes. So the two lines are going to intersect, and that's going to be your solution, that coordinate point. When they have no solution, that's when the lines are parallel and they have the same slope and different y-intercepts. And the last case is when there's infinitely many solutions, and that's when the lines coincide or are the same. And this is when the lines have the same slope and the same y-intercept. So M and B are the same. For parallel lines, it's just the M is the same. So in our next two examples, without solving the linear system. So in our first two examples, we solved the linear system. But in this one, we don't want to solve it. We just want to be able to tell by looking at the equations, how many solutions do they have? So that's when we're going to want to rewrite in y equals mx plus b form, so that we can compare their slopes and y-intercepts. So for our first set, set A, we want to take each equation and rewrite it as y equals. So for that first equation, all we have to do is subtract 5x. From both sides, we get y equals -2 minus 5x. So for this equation, our m is next to the x, -5, and our b is -2. For our second equation, we have -10x minus 2y equals 4. Get y by itself, add 10x to both sides. We have -2y equals 4 plus 10x. Divide by -2 to get y by itself. We get y equals 4 divided by -2 is -2. Plus 10 divided by -2 is -5x. So looking at this equation, our m next to the x is -5, and our b is -2. So if we compare that to our first equation, they have the same m and the same b, which means that these two lines have infinitely many solutions, same m and same b. So for number A, we would say the solutions were infinite. All right. Second example, we want to do the same thing. We want to solve for y and figure out if they have the same slope and the same y-intercept. So we'll take the first equation, 6x plus 2y equals 3. Subtract 6x from both sides. We get 2y equals 3 minus 6x. Divide everything by 2. We get y equals 3 divided by 2 is just 3/2, minus 6 divided by 2 is 3x. So that's our first equation. So we can say our m is the number next to x, -3. Our b is 3/2. So now let's compare with that second equation. Right here, 6x plus 2y equals -5. Get y by itself by first subtracting that 6x from both sides. 2y equals -5 minus 6x. Divide everything by 2 to get y all by itself. And we get y equals -5/2 we can leave as a fraction. And then -6 divided by 2 is -3x. So then our m is next to the x, -3, and our b is -5/2. So if we compare these two here, we should notice that our m's, those are the same, but our b's are not the same. So we have the same slope, different y-intercepts, which means we have parallel lines, which means no solution. So for this set, we have no solution. All right, that's all the notes that I have for you today. Thank you for watching my video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel.